Life for All presents Daily Food series, The Word of Life, the Fellowship of Life, and Living Stones for the Edification. The Epistles of John and Peter. Title of Book 4, Tested and Approved by God. Author Pedro. Week 1, Introduction to the Epistles of Peter. Wednesday, the process of transformation carried out by the Spirit. Part 2, read with prayer. But go, tell his disciples and Peter that he is going before you into Galilee. There you will see him, as he said to you. Mark chapter 16, verse 7. Peter was brave and indeed loved the Lord very much, but he did not know human nature. Man easily makes promises, but later does not have the strength to fulfill what he promised. We see this in another episode in which Peter is deeply exposed. He promised to follow Jesus wherever he went, and even, if necessary, to give his life for him. John chapter 13, verses 36 through 38. However, he later denied the Lord 3 times. There is no excuse for this. It happened as Jesus had foretold, and only then did the rooster crow. Jesus looked at him from afar, and at that moment he remembered the Lord's words and went out to weep bitterly. Matthew chapter 26, verses 74 and 75. Peter's natural love for Jesus was very strong. Yet, that night in Gethsemane, he found himself in a frightening situation. Battalions of soldiers and of high priest guards, both numbering nearly 500 people, were there to arrest Jesus. At first, Peter showed himself to be brave, cutting off the ear of one of the high priest's servants. But then, like the other disciples, he cowardly fled. John chapter 18, verse 10. We may sometimes show ourselves to be brave, but only until we are faced with a real situation of death. The natural tendency of any human being is first to preserve his own life. Therefore, dear reader, do not trust in your natural man. Only the life of the Lord makes us trustworthy. The more the life of God circulates among us, the more we will mature and become genuinely trustworthy. Through these events, we can better understand Peter's epistles. He saw that he was a coarse stone that needed to be polished and transformed until it became useful in the hands of the Lord. That is why Peter speaks so much about tribulations and trials, repeating in his letters that all of us, without exception, need them to be transformed into stones suitable for building. Peter was always present at critical moments in the Lord's ministry. He always appears as the first of the 12 disciples. Matthew chapter 10, verse 2, Mark chapter 3, verse 16, and Luke chapter 6, verse 14. Peter was also there on the mountain when Jesus was transfigured. Matthew chapter 17, verse 1. From this, we can understand a little of what Peter felt after denying the Lord. He became very depressed and extremely disappointed with himself, imagining that he was no longer of any use to God. However, on the morning of the resurrection, an angel appeared to the women who had come to the tomb and said, "Go, tell his disciples and Peter that he is going before you into Galilee, and there you will see him, as he said to you." Mark chapter 16, verse 7. God understood how Peter felt, knowing that he had disappointed his beloved Lord, who had always put him first. He probably thought that the Lord would no longer count on him in his work. But the angel specifically said, "And Peter." Such words brought the sound of salvation, great comfort, and encouragement to him. We may also say, "I have failed the Lord so many times. I think he no longer has hope in me." However, the Lord has not given up or forgotten any of us. When we seem to no longer be of any use, that is when he calls us and reaffirms that he wants to use us. The Lord still wants to use us, but to do so, he needs to transform us and work in us. Will you give him permission?